Hey everybody, it's Joshua.
And I'm Caleb.
And we are still here in Jerusalem, Israel. We know that we visited you guys last night with some facts of what was going on. This morning, we've already been out and about. We'll get to that in a minute. But news on what's happening here. There are still rockets, even though they've slowed down, that are being launched out. They seem to be moving south of the Gaza Strip. We've talked to locals. Our friends here think that that's because the nuclear weapons and other weapons bases are housed primarily in the south. And their thought is possibly Hamas is working towards either gaining control or blowing those areas up.
That's right. Hamas claims that they are still entering Israel. They're still breaching the border. There's possibly 200 hostages they claim to have at this moment. We don't know for sure, but Israel is being very careful to try to figure out how to get those hostages back.
State Security Cabinet of Israel has approved and ratified the declaration of war that they announced last night for this state of war, meaning simply this can be a full-fledged war. This gives Netanyahu the ability to go in with more force anywhere within the country right now and do what's necessary to take over.
Well, right now the death toll is at 600 plus Israelis that have been killed, over 2,000 injured, guys. That's not a small number. Let that sink in. If that number hit America, it would be the end of the world politically and emotionally for people. People would be mourning in the streets. For such a small country, that's huge. That's like everybody who has a friend or a neighbor, they probably know someone who's died already.
Keep in mind that when we mention IDF, it sounds really tough because they are really tough. But this Israeli Defense Force are young kids.
Yes.
They're generally 18 to 21 years old. When you're in Israel, it's a mandatory that you spend 3 years in the army from the age of 18. So when you drive through these checkpoints in the street and you see who's protecting this country, these are young men and women who've basically just become adults by American standards who are sitting here defending this country.
And even friends that we know who work with us, their own children are on the front lines, and we need you to pray for them to keep them safe. They're on the Gaza border. Obviously, this is something that disturbs them, but still it's a way of life, something they have to prepare themselves mentally and expect that their kids may someday have to go to war.
So SAM missiles were activated near the Lebanese border. This activity of Hezbollah trying to get to the border up in northern Lebanon, where we were shooting at the border, north in the border, bordering Lebanon, where we were shooting at the beginning of our trip, is where they are now attempting to come across.
It's up at the Metula area. You know, we were right there on the border. We prayed there. We spoke a message about Psalm 83. People are asking right now, is this the beginnings of a Psalm 83 war? Right now, these are the birth pains, wars and rumors of wars. If we see a coalition of all these different nations combined, yes, then it begins. It hasn't begun yet, but it doesn't mean it won't. So.
We are hearing reports, you probably are seeing this at home, all over the world, extra security measures taken in different countries, around synagogues, around places that Israeli people, the Jewish people would normally gather because they're seeing terrorist attacks. We know that in Alexandria, Egypt, that Israeli tourists were shot dead by Egyptian police. Whether this was one individual or more, the people have been arrested, but we're seeing this hate that is emanating across the world, obviously in defense of quote-unquote Palestine.
Another interesting event that occurred since then, after this war with Gaza started, the Taliban jumped up and they said, hey guys, let us in. We will conquer Jerusalem. They were asking Iran, Iraq, and Jordan to allow them access to get through from Afghanistan so that they could join the fray. And this is tragic, guys. When an earthquake hit Afghanistan, 2,000 plus people have already died. We're not saying it's God's judgment. We're just saying they're not protected. They don't have that protection from the Most High. Their leaders are declaring, let's go and kill the people of Israel. It's not a good place to be in.
Right now, we know that the world is putting pray for Israel, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for the peace of this country. Pray for all the individuals. One of the emotional tenets that I see amongst the people here, because this morning we drove up not knowing that we weren't supposed to leave our area. We crossed over the West Bank to go shoot up in Bethel. And we were stopped at different places.
Checkpoints,
and at these checkpoints, the IDF members, they would check our passports, check us. And what was interesting at the first checkpoint we went to is we were asking our translator, he said he was apologizing that he had to do this, but because the times were what they were, they had to do this check. So this idea maybe that there's so much hate on the Israel side versus this side that they want the war, they don't want that. They're defending themselves because they were attacked unprovoked. But all of our friends here that we've talked to, they want it to stop. Our friends who have family members that are up at the Gaza Strip, like our driver, his sons are up there. We prayed for him this morning. He was very emotional. He was here. driving us around. Each day, I've talked to my housekeeper in my room. She's a very sweet little lady, does not speak very much English, about this tall. And this morning, I found this note on my dresser when I got back for lunch. And this note says, "Thank you, sir. Keep safe always." Now, when I'm done here in Israel, I get to go home because I live in the United States of America. But her home is here. That means she doesn't get to leave. She's here whether there's a war going on or whether there's not a war going on. And she put herself in danger to come to work today to take care of my room and the rooms of the other guests at the hotel because that's her job. Yet she's telling me to keep safe. In essence, I'm a tourist here, even though I'm here working. That's the mindset of so many. They're so selfless here to say, let me take care of you and let me provide for you. And it moved my heart this morning to see this note. And I saw her in the hall to thank her. And she was just smiling. She had no other reason. She wasn't looking for a tip or something like that. She was just genuinely wanting me to be safe.
Guys, we need you to pray Psalm 91 over everyone in Israel now. We have friends that are Arabs here, that are Christians. We have friends that are Jews, that are believers. There is that animosity isn't there. It isn't, one race against another. That's not the story that's going on here, except for these, these terrorist organizations, these extremists. But pray Psalm 91 over the people here, that things will end quickly. Remember, 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes will you see the reward of the wicked. We know the reward the Lord has for us and for his people.
And we know that what Yeshua wants most of all is that every single man, woman, and child comes to the saving grace so that they get to spend eternity with him. Amen. That's our number one purpose. That's why we're here. We're not here just to witness to the Jewish people. We're here to witness to all the people because the Father made all the people. Every person is his son and daughter. So don't get caught up in hate on either side. Don't get caught up in finger pointing, but pray. Pray for safety and pray for peace and pray that each person, that the deception is pulled from their eyes and they see the truth and they come to Yeshua. We are going to try to keep updating you guys on our busy schedule. We're not even sure when we get to leave yet. That's all still up in the air, but keep praying. We love you and we'll try to keep you updated.
We love you.